Ladies and gentlemen of the press, we, the NPP Majority Caucus, have called you this afternoon to address some few concerns regarding the conduct of the Speaker of Parliament. You may recall that Mr. Speaker made some pronouncements on the floor of the House, which resulted in the NDC minority caucus proclaiming themselves to be the so-called new majority. Speaker subsequently at a pre-sitting meeting, after the Supreme Court has stayed his ruling, said to us as leadership that he has not declared the NDC as the majority. Neither has he expressed a constitutional opinion on those four individuals, and that what he did amounted to an opinion that he expressed on the statement by Honorable Kesel Atofos. At the said pre-sitting meeting, I, on behalf of my colleagues, the majority, inquired from Mr. Speaker whether our friends who were seated to his right would be allowed by him to sit there, because that was not their rightful place, in view of his own admission that he had not proclaimed them as such nor declared them as such. Speaker responded that indeed sitting arrangement of Parliament was a responsibility of the clerk to Parliament. This took me to the next step of inquiring from the clerk whether he allowed the NDC minority to sit on our seats. He said, indeed, we had our name tags, that is the NPP majority, had their name tags at those seats that we already occupied, and that it was not he who did that. So obviously, one was expecting Mr. Speaker to direct the NDC to do the right thing. He refused. Subsequently, Mr. Speaker engaged the Council of State, or perhaps let me say the Council of State held meetings with Mr. Speaker as a majority leader and leader of government business and leader of the House. I had the opportunity to also meet with them. The understanding I had from the meeting as a sequel to the meeting they had already held with Mr. Speaker was to the effect that Mr. Speaker will direct the NDC minority to sit at their right place, which is the left of Mr. Speaker. That was the understanding I had. I subsequently had a call from the Peace Council. The Peace Council informed me that they had engaged Mr. Speaker on the issue before Parliament, and Mr. Speaker had indeed indicated to the Peace Council that he had not ruled, neither has he proclaimed the NDC minority, and that should we resume or should Parliament reconvene, the NDC minority will go back to their seats. Several other prominent Ghanaians, who for some good reasons I would not want to mention their names, who had engaged Speaker on this matter, had also reached out to us, the majority caucus, and assured us that Mr. Speaker's engagement with them resulted in he admitting that indeed there was no such ruling, which ruling would now proclaim the NDC as a so-called new majority. Now, from the horse's own mouth, granted that all these prominent people misrepresented to us, the majority. Yesterday, Mr. Speaker himself, in his press conference in the afternoon, enumerated a number of things. Amongst them, he said he had not made a ruling. He told the whole of the country that he had not made a ruling. So if he claims that what he did was a formal communication in response to a statement from the minority leader, then why is he supervising chaos in the House? What Mr. Speaker did today amount to supervising chaos and bringing the image of democracy to disrepute. The NDC minority members were all over claiming that we, the majority, did not attend a so-called business committee meeting that they called. Who are they? Yes. When did we constitute a new committee in Parliament? I chaired the business committee of Parliament. And when the clerk to Parliament asked for the business committee meeting, I was very explicit that the subject matter of the recall, which was approved by Mr. Speaker, is a very matter for consideration. So there's no need to have another business committee. Business committee is to decide on the business of the House. On this occasion, you have made an application, which application has been granted. And the items that were approved were the very things to be decided on. So I directed that the order paper should be printed to reflect all those items. Fortunately, Mr. Speaker himself read the two letters. The first one and the second one that amended the first, and indicated to the whole country that indeed our deputy majority whip, the second deputy majority whip, had actually sent those letters to him. He acknowledged him as such. Clearly, the NDC is on a war path. They want confusion in this country. They want lawlessness in this country. And all these are being supervised by Mr. Speaker. Yes. It is sad. It is very sad. And I would want to entreat you, the media, to call them out, to call the NDC out, to call Mr. Speaker out. Because what is it? What at all is the issue? You have made a ruling which you now say is an opinion. We disagreed with you. We've gone to another forum where, by law, that forum has the power to interpret the law. We respected Mr. Speaker's ruling. In all of these, my first interview after his ruling was to the fact that I respect him, I disagree with him, therefore my colleagues and I were withdrawing today from the chamber and will pursue the matter at the Supreme Court, which matter he was already aware was pending at the Supreme Court. And I will repeat the point I made a week ago. Mr. Speaker had assured me in the presence of the second deputy speaker, Honorable Amwakwesiam, in his office, that in view of the pendency of the suit, although the NDC had filed that petition, which petition was mounted by Harun Idrisu, he would hear them, but will wait and abide the decision of the court. I was fair enough, I was transparent enough to have engaged him as a head of this assembly, that because Haruna had raised the issue and to avoid confusion, I was going to the Supreme Court to seek interpretation. I did not go to Supreme Court in bad faith. And it wasn't the case that a matter was happening in Parliament and I ran away to the Supreme Court. I ran away from Parliament to Supreme Court to seek refuge. No, I foresaw confusion. And indeed, what Harun Idrisu filed, why did they set it aside? Harun Idrisu had initiated a process under Order 99 of our rules, which will require a process to be set in motion. Why did they suddenly come under Order 93, which allows for a statement? When, in the history of this Parliament, since 1992, did a statement metamorphose into a motion? Which motion now will require a ruling? You see, Speaker is setting the country on fire. Yesterday, we were disappointed with his non-reconciliatory posture during this press conference. Indeed, we, the majority caucus, call on Mr. Speaker one more time to demonstrate statesmanship. We want Mr. Speaker to know that although we were not happy on the day he was elected, some of our colleagues perhaps has seen something good in him. It wasn't the NDC that put him there for him to do the bidding of the NDC. Perhaps people felt that he could be someone who will bring all of us together.
Yes.
There are things that we cannot say into the camera. But Mr. Speaker is hurting democracy.
Yes.
What Mr. Speaker is doing is to rehearse what the NDC is likely to do should they lose power, to bring chaos, to cause confusion. How can Mr. Speaker say that he respects the Constitution, but he will not subject himself to the dictate of the judiciary? How can you say that the judiciary is in collusion, is colliding with the president, and you mention the president as a person, as an individual? How? What Mr. Speaker is doing is in bad faith. First of all, he subjected himself to the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. And after losing at the Supreme Court, he turns around to attack the Supreme Court. His own lawyer, my respected senior Judicial, in court, argued forcefully that Mr. Speaker made a ruling, and he sought to justify the so-called ruling and even challenge the jurisdiction of the court in entertaining my application. For him, the matter comes under Article 99 of the Constitution and not under Article 197. 97 G and H of the Constitution. To the NDC lawyer, to the Speaker's lawyer, who had received firm instructions from the Speaker, the position of the Speaker was home and dry, was on all fours right, and that Mr. Speaker had ruled, and that those members could not come to Parliament. Again, he had emphasized that the right forum was the High Court.
Yes.
All these points canvassed by Mr. Speaker's lawyer were overruled. The matter was heard in the full glare of the public. There was a live broadcast of the Supreme Court proceedings of that day. The ruling of the Supreme Court has been procured by me as plaintiff. The Supreme Court bailiff has served the ruling, the second ruling, on Mr. Speaker. His lawyers were given up to 3rd of November to file their written submissions, statements of case in defense, if any. So what are all these, perhaps I call it ex-cathedra statement of Speaker, creating an impression as though those statements he's making are an authority on their own. It cannot be. A true Democrat will respect the rule of law.
Yes.
And that is why we decided to respect him. You know, ladies and gentlemen of the press, NPP, our tradition is to respect rule of law. It's out of deference to Mr. Speaker. That is why we did not enter the chamber. That we should share in that chaos theater with them. Never. Never. We will not. NPP will not. We will not. Therefore, don't be swayed by their lies and their propaganda. The chaos they started is what they want to end. We will not allow that. We believe that we have to win the elections right at the polling station, and we'll go and work. Right now, what the NDC has done, basically, are the following. One, they don't want Ghanaians to receive their pay, public servants, because they know that after the elections, there will be no budget. And to be able to pay Ghanaian workers, there will be the need for parliamentary approval of the budget first quarter of that would be on account, appropriation on account. That's it's a constitutional requirement. So that is what they want. They want to stampede it. 2, they want to again create a certain impression that Ghana is lawless. Ghana is not lawless. We will not allow them to give a wrong impression to the international community. We will respect the law. 3, all these businessmen, you know, their fear is that under the 1D, 1F, these companies are going to create jobs. These companies will employ people. So their fear is that should these be addressed, it will mean that all their propaganda of unemployment would fall flat. So further to frustrate businessmen and drive them away. Are these Democrats?
No.
Now there are important things to do. We have the free SHS bill, which is before Parliament. Their main aim is to conspire with Mr. Speaker to prevent the free SHS bill from being passed. And in an unlikely situation where they see the light of day in the election, cancel it. That, oh, after all, there's no law backing it. Their main target is the free SHS bill. That is why there was a pre-announcement of its laying in Parliament, and you remember how they fought against it. So it's an opportunity for them to, as it were, prevent the free SHS bill from being passed. And if they succeed in doing that, to them, in their wishful mind, in their wishful thinking, parents will get upset and then say that after all the free SHS was not working. The free SHS has benefited many Ghanaians in spite of the challenge. We know as a country the reforms that have been made by 2 ministers, Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh and Dr. Agyapong. These 2 gentlemen who were assigned to superintend over the education ministry have done so well, and the outcome of their works is known to all Ghanaians. This is what the NDC wants to set back. Thank you very much indeed. I would want. Now, they also made some noise in the chamber. They also made, you know, they double talk. They double talk. They do double speaking, double talking. Whenever a person lies, he fails to even be inconsistent. In the chamber, where they rushed to go and sit. And again, the clerk this morning, we pre-inspected the chamber. The clerk diligently arranged our name tags at where they were. They came and they physically removed them. And this is where, with the greatest respect and in all humility and in all modesty, my dear friends in the media, help us to shape opinion in the right way. Get the message across. They came in there and unlawfully removed our name tags, pulled their chairs to our place and sat on our seats. And Speaker, the cameras, I was watching in my office, and I'm sure you guys are set up. You set your cameras up proud to Mr. Speaker's arrival. You saw what happened. Let the Ghanaian people know. Now they said our members were not present. They claim that those, if indeed the Supreme Court had ruled, why were those members who were affected not in the chamber? Because Mr. Speaker has said nothing about them. This is what Kwame Agbodja, making that point. Honorable Kwame Agbodja said the members have had a favorable ruling from the Supreme Court, so they should have come. Really, if the Supreme Court ruling is being respected by them, why did they move to the right of Mrs. Speaker? My respected colleague Cynthia Morrison is here. I said it in my plaints in court that she remains a member of our caucus, and she's here with us as a majority caucus. Nothing short of that. So I would want you to take note. Now, we look forward to engaging Mr. Speaker in the next few hours and days. We pray that he does the needful. If he doesn't do the needful, we'll continue to rely on the law to get the right things done. The partisan politics that they are festing on us in the chamber must cease, must end. Parliament is a chamber for decent people. Parliament is a chamber for tolerant Democrats. Parliament is a chamber for people who want nation building without taking advantage of situations to score cheap political points. We will yield to these high values and high tenets of democracy. Thank you very much. Thank
No questions.
Okay. We'll allow some questions.
Members speak to the media individually.
Who is going to do the treaty?
There are those who have said that.
We shall win to save Ghana. We shall win to save Ghana. The elephant is the winning symbol. We shall win to save Ghana. Sport minister. Mustafa. Hey, Mustafa.
Friends of the media, good afternoon. I think my leader has spoken, and I don't know. Mine is not a press conference. What I want to tell the media, the message we have to carry, is in the interest of our country, Ghana. I believe in Ghana. With what is going on in Parliament, it's not good for the country. I have advised my colleagues from the other side that look, assuming you win the incoming election, would you get 2/3 of Parliament to take decisions? And they all said no. So I said, well, if you are saying that Professor Michael Quinn set a precedent and you are using that to take a position as you have done, then what happens if you win election and you don't get 2/3? Do you expect NPP also to help for us to rule this country? That is my fear for Ghana. Whatever is going on, if we don't put an end to it and we politicize issues, Ghana, I'm telling you, in 2025, you will see worse things in Parliament. Because whoever wins and whoever loses will not cooperate. Then what will be the fate of our country? That is my major concern. Of late, I have not been speaking, but it's absurd to see grown-ups, members of Parliament, behaving the way we are behaving. It's simple. for peace sake, how many weeks left for the country to go through all what is going through? Don't think it's only NPP. It's Ghana going through these challenges. The way things are going, I believe that next month is going to be Christmas, and workers are not even going to have their salary because Parliament we have to approve. So media, I decided not to talk, but what I saw at the conference center when I was coming, I've been treating you, I'm pleading with you to be very objective. You see, taking entrenched position to support a political party will not help this country. And if you know the power of the media, if you do your work well, the respect you earn, I'm begging you, you are jeopardizing your positions in society because of the way some of you politicize issues, and it won't help this country. We all want to move forward. I personally don't care whoever wins, so long as we have a peaceful country that you can breathe. I've been to war-torn countries, and I know the sufferings some people are going through. That is why I don't preach for war. If not, I would have also encouraged whatever going on. I want to be the faith of the country. Today I shouted at my young man because he asked me a question, why are you running away? How can I run away? Let me tell you what actually happened this morning, which the leader did not address. He saw me I even entered the chamber. We were at a caucus meeting. So we took a decision that, look, Ken, go with the leadership, engage the speaker and the NDC people. Then we go in because we heard they are sitting on our side, which is the right-hand side of the speaker. So go and engage the speaker. Unfortunately, when we got there, they were sitting. That is why we returned. Not that I was running away. And we couldn't stop the proceedings. So it's not deliberate that NPP refused. We needed to engage the speaker. I'm not the leadership. I'm not one of them. But they respect my opinion. And I know speaker is my friend. Before I even came to Parliament, he was my company lawyer. So I give him that respect. And sometimes I go to him and share ideas. So they say this time, go to your man. Unfortunately, our caucus meeting took so long, and there was no TV there for us to see that they were sitting. So, young man, I was not running away. We were coming to consult the speaker and the minority group before we go in there. And unfortunately, when we went there, he was sitting. And we had to walk away. Now, the question is, where NDC was sitting, where did you want me to go and sit? Where?
I should go and fight them.
Do you want me to go and pull my chair from my colleague from the other side? No. We don't want that January 7th, 2021, what transpired at the chamber to continue to be a precedent. No. So peacefully, I just worked out with Deputy Majority Leader and the two whips. We want peace to prevail. So please, you are the mouthpiece of this country. Whatever you do, if you do it right, it will benefit the country. You go wrong, the whole country will be doomed. So don't let us politicize issues. Be objective, pragmatic, and first, you should all love this country. Look, 6 weeks or 2 weeks, 2 months ago, Burkina, they lined people doing whatever they call trenches, and 600 of them, they shot them. Is that what we need in this country? Because of somebody's power, nobody, whether you're NPP, NDC, any political party, will push me to go and take arms. It won't work. We have nowhere to go, only Ghana. So you should be mindful of whatever you are going to say. This politics, where politicians, journalists have taken trench and politicians have taken trench, it won't help us. So I'm begging you. What actually happened today, it was not deliberate that we were boycotting, but we wanted to get understanding from the speaker. So we were at the caucus meeting, and maybe I will admit that it took so long.
But that is even allowed in parliamentary culture.
I engaged Honorable Agyapong and told the minister, oh, then you made a mistake. You should have informed the speaker that you were at the caucus meeting. The speaker didn't know, which I cannot defend because I'm not part of the leadership. And I'm sure he's right. I'm sure if my leaders have informed the speaker that we're holding a meeting and we'll be back, definitely he would have waited. So,
But even that Ken, it was the onus also on the so-called majority group leaders to inform the speaker, where are your colleagues? And he would tell them they are in caucus. They want to tell us that nobody knew that we were having a caucus meeting.
well, he can be Epimenides and sit on the fence, because even if he knows, and once there's no official communication, I can pretend I didn't know. That one day, I can pretend I didn't know. Yeah, that's the problem. I've posed that question because I entered the chamber and I saw NDC occupying NPP seats. So I just had to leave. I told the leader and the leadership, the two whips and deputy majority leader, that we should go back. And even that, you won't believe it, my lawyer, another lawyer of mine, Honorable Agyapong. Honorable Agyapong is my lawyer. But we nearly fought over there. You know, so, but that's the game of politics. But we don't want you to fund it. Because when there's a problem, don't think you hold the camera and you'll be safe.